The dirt today is perfect. You could call it hero dirt. It rained a lot this weekend, but since then we had a few sunny days, which is the recipe for dust-free, well-packed tread that's utterly delectable. Well, maybe to earthworms. I guess my point is that a little rain can be good for the trails. This is why you'll see people watering dirt jumps to keep them from crumbling, and why places like the rainy Pacific Northwest have such amazing riding. But too much water is not good. And even on a perfect day like today, you're bound to find spots in need of some help. I'm talking, of course, about wet, muddy sections that haven't drained. I'm sure you've seen people shouting on Facebook that riding in the mud is bad, but today I'm going to explain why that's not always the case. First of all, let me be totally clear. If the Forest Service or land manager closes a trail due to heavy rains, go ride some gravel until they open it back up. I'm not suggesting you seek out muddy trails to ride. In fact, this Saturday we had a big event in Brevard with bike demos. It rained all day long, so everyone just played foot down and had skidding contests in the parking lot. Sometimes you just need to make the best of a situation and wait until the weather clears up. But should you set out into the forest in good conditions and with the best of intentions, only to encounter a muddy section, the absolute worst thing you could do is try to go around it. The reason for this is written in the tire tracks. This little mud pit is in the early stages of becoming a big mud pit. This gorgeous narrow section of sweet single track could someday look like this. As riders avoid the mud pit by riding around the edge, they gradually encroach on otherwise undamaged forest and increase the size of the mud pit they were trying to avoid. Many do this with the best of intentions because someone on Facebook told them to avoid the mud. But fixing a muddy spot can be a relatively simple repair. It only becomes complex and labor-intensive when a social trail is created around the mud pit. Not only does the trail crew need to repair the damage, but also restore the trail to its original state. Here you can see two social trails around this one mud pit. You could blame it on lack of maintenance, but the Forest Service here is wildly underfunded. Groups like Pisgah Area Sorba rely on volunteers and donations to pay for tools and insurance. So if you encounter a section like this, and don't want to create more work for your local Orba, there's a simple rule to follow. Just stay on the trail. Riding directly through a mud pit is better than riding around the edge and gradually creating new damage. Trail widening is one of the most difficult problems for workers to solve, as they need to block off sections to allow vegetation to grow back in. A big hole in the trail just needs to be filled in and the adjacent drainage improved. But riding directly through a trouble spot isn't the only way to get through. You could also do a manual or wheelie. Some have said that this exposes the trail to one less wheel, but that wheel has twice the weight. The real reason for a manual or wheelie is to prevent yourself from getting messy. Your front wheel is the one that will spray water and mud directly at you, and therefore this actually works. While a manual or wheelie doesn't really help the trail, it is an incentive to ride through and not around puddles. But if you really want to leave no trace, there's only one way to do it. Assuming you can pop off a rock or root, or if you have a really solid bunny hop, small problem areas can be circumvented altogether. Not only is this actually beneficial to the trail and those who maintain it, it's fun. So if you were looking for a practical reason to work on your jumping and hopping skills, there you have it. I made this video short and shareable so it can serve as a little public service announcement to new riders. Some of us live in areas where avoiding mud entirely just isn't possible. But I must reiterate that I'm not condoning slosh fests. If you know a trail is a mess, just keep off of it until the sun can do its job. And when you encounter a section like this, yank back on your bars and take flight. Thanks to Pisgah Area Sorba for giving me their blessing on making this video. And should you wish to support them, I've dropped a link in the description of this video. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time.
see if we can knock each other off. Right. Uh-oh, chess match. Chess match. Uh-oh. Oh, that was close. I think I was Seth lost. I think I lost by a hair.